I thought this was going to be easy, but it's actually quite hard.
Hello, viewer. Welcome back to part 2 of our
Do
favourite
a.
albums
Do
of the
a.
1990s, except it's not our favourite albums of the 1990s because I already chose mine, so it's Ben's. We're just
It's
going
mine.
through the whole list. And at the moment, if you watched episode 1, you'll found that Ben, after favouring Stereophonics for a while,
Predictably.
has now got Oasis Be Here Now at the top of his list. So how does Be Here Now stand up against U2 Achtung Baby?
Another album I came too late. Great album. I know U2 a bit Marmite with people, but it is Be Here Now because I don't have that affiliation with U2 as I did with that album at the time, and probably now, probably still. I do love you. I do like U2. I wouldn't say I love them. I do like them.
So it's Bye Bye Bono
Bye Bye Bono.
and the Boys.
I've edged out the edge.
So how will Oasis do against a double album? Because I'm talking about an album that was released in 1991.
Oh,
It's about 2.5 hours long, all told. We counted it as one album, although
we did.
Technically you could call this 2 albums. They were released on the same day. I think you probably guessed, Ben. We're talking about Guns N' Roses. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. So, how does that project fare against the? I mean, that must be the only album of the 90s that's longer than Be Here.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. I was just about to say, yeah, but it's got double the tracks, so I suppose it's Be Here Now, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've risked revenge from Axl Rose.
Yeah. What's he going to do? Come at me with his gravelly voice.
Rant at you, yeah.
Yeah.
Write a song about you, slagging you off.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is the Oasis album going to compare against Diamonds and Pearls from Prince and his New Power Generation?
I did enjoy this album. I listened to this in the gym and I did enjoy it. I do think it's
even got a bit of hip hop on it.
It does have a little bit of hip hop in it. And I have started listening more to Prince recently. Obviously knew of him back in the 90s, but it's Be Here Now, Phil. Be Here Now, still there.
They're still there. Okay. So, let's see how Oasis stacks up against one of my favourite albums of the 90s. In fact, it came out as my top. Being There by Wilco.
Now,
how does that compare?
It's going to be Here Now for one simple reason. I haven't listened to that
Wilco
album. I haven't listened to the Wilco album.
So, I wonder if it'll be a similar thing when it comes up against REM and New Adventures in Hi-Fi.
In Hi-Fi? No, I have listened to that. I think I've got it on CD. And I do like that REM album. Is that the one with Everybody Hurts on it?
No, that's Automatic for the People.
For the People, yeah.
New Adventures in Hi-Fi is the one that's a mixture of, it's got some live tracks and some studio
yes. Yeah.
tracks.
Yeah, it's Be Here Now, Phil.
Okay. So, what about Beck and Odelay?
I do love that album. That's the Jumpy Dog cover one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do really enjoy that album because Beck is mad.
Yeah.
But it's Be Here Now. The overblow. I feel kind of bad because,
It's still winning out. There's some great albums of the 90s of falling in the wake of Be Here Now.
I know.
Okay, so this is only going to get worse for you from this moment on, Ben.
I think I made a mistake when I didn't choose Bridges to Babylon. I think that's where I've gone wrong. But I've gone with my heart.
Okay, so Everything But the Girl, Walking Wounded.
Oh.
Or Oasis, Be Here Now.
That Walking Wounded album is so good.
Only one album can come out of this alive. The other won't even be wounded. It will be killed off.
And everybody thinks it's got "And I Miss You" like the dead, but it hasn't. That's on the album before.
How many people bought that album and got disappointed because they thought
that song was going to be on it? Yeah, because they would have come out. I think "Miss You" came out around 94, 90. But it got released, and then it had the Todd Terry remix, which I think went big in 95.
Yeah.
95. So, and I'm sure that what year are we on? 96.
That's from 96. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think a few people probably bought the album thinking it was on there. Unless it is on there, the Todd Terry. No, it can't. No, I don't think
Anyway,
it is.
How's that faring against Oasis for you?
I do really like that album.
You're going to say that about the next two as well.
Oh God, I hate my life. Be Here Now.
You can only grab one before you get out of the burning building. Okay, so you've gone with Oasis.
Yeah.
Everything Must Go. So that Manic Street Preachers album, Everything Must Go, against Be Here Now. Which are you going with?
Do you know what? Oh God, this is like a dead heat. But Everything Must Go is brilliant. I love that album.
Kevin Carter, Designed for Life.
Yeah.
Small Black Flowers That Grow in the Sky.
Yeah. Elvis Impersonator.
Yeah, Blackpool Pier, Australia.
Yeah. In Australia.
No Surface All Feeling. What's that around there? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. I love that. It's one of those albums. You know, I've only ever seen Trainspotting once. I've only ever seen Pulp Fiction once. Because I feel like if I go back to it, it's not going to have the same impact. In a kind of a way, I haven't listened to this Everything Must Go album for a long time because in my head it's that good. If I go back to it, I might not like it as much as I did before. And that's the thing that worries me slightly.
Well.
And I know where I am with Be Here Now. Oh, Phil. I'm not going to get shot, am I? So it doesn't matter which one I choose.
No, so which one are you going to have?
My favourite, Be Here Now is my favourite.
Okay, so Be Here Now has won. Okay, it's still on top. And now it's going to come up against Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You.
Matchbox 20. I love that album. I love Matchbox 20. It's a guilty pleasure, I know.
You said it. So that's your final answer.
It is my final answer.
So, okay. You said it. Okay, so Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You, is now Ben's favourite album of the 90s.
90s, yeah.
So, how does that compare with Björk's debut album?
Oh, God. Still Matchbox 20. I love Björk's debut album. A great album. Really, really good album.
Bye Bye Björk.
It's mental, that album is.
But you've left her writhing on the airport floor.
Yeah, fighting with a Japanese reporter.
Right. A Storm in Heaven, The Verve. Or as they were called then, Verve.
Verve, yeah. It's still going to be Rob Thomas, Matchbox 20. Because I think I only listened to the Verve album while I think I'd listened to it years ago. I think I got it on CD, but I listened to it properly for doing this. But yeah, it's it's going to be the ex-members of Tabitha's Secret going through again.
So, still got Matchbox 20 at the top. So, which do you love more? We're going to throw in an American alternative band.
Ooh.
Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream.
I love that album. I do love that album. And Billy Corgan's voice takes a little while, but it's still Matchbox 20, Phil.
So Matchbox 20 has beaten the Smashing Pumpkins. How will it do against Liz Phair with Exile in Guyville?
It's still Matchbox 20, Phil.
I thought it might be. How does it go with Counting Crows, August and Everything After?
Still Matchbox 20, Phil. Even though I think was it Oasis? Did Oasis tour with Counting Crows? Didn't they? On their Be Here Now tour?
I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know.
But no, it's Matchbox 20. I love that album.
I'm chucking some great albums against
I know,
it, folks. I'm trying my hardest, folks, to knock it off the top. How about U2, Zooropa?
It's still Matchbox 20.
It's still Matchbox 20.
Yeah, I'm smashing through this, Phil. I'm smashing it out.
It's beaten all the albums of 1990, of 1991, of 1992, of 1999 and 1997. So how is it going to do against... How is it going to do again? I'm just double checking that I've read all the albums out from that particular year. So Matchbox 20, yourself or somebody
like you, yeah.
How is that going to do against? Ooh, which year shall I give him? Yeah, okay. It's going up against Mellow Gold by Beck.
Matchbox 20.
Then, it's going up against Neil Young with Crazy Horse, Sleeps with Angels.
He won't be sleeping very well tonight, will he?
No.
It's Matchbox 20, Phil.
I don't think Neil cares, really, to be honest.
I think he does a little bit. Well, they say he doesn't care, and then a few hours later he'll change his mind and care about it all of a sudden. You know.
I like that topical joke. Okay.
Yeah.
R.E.M. Monster.
We listened to this, didn't we? We did a show on R.E.M.'s Monster.
Yeah.
And it's a good album. I found it, I think I said at the time, it's hard work, isn't it, that album? It's
not the easiest album to get into necessarily if it doesn't appeal to you right away, but...
So it is Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20. So how's it going to go against Dummy by Portishead?
Oh, Portishead's finest trip hop. Another great album. Really good album. I'm sure that won the Mercury Music Prize.
Well, if it didn't, it should have done.
Yeah. I love that. It's great for putting on late at night to chill out to. But it's going to be Matchbox 20, Phil.
Okay. So, Green Day, Ducky versus Matchbox 20, yourself or someone like you.
Yeah, I put the Green Day album through, and I do like it. I do like the energy of that album. Do you have the time to listen to me whine? But no, it's Matchbox 20.
So, Matchbox 20 have been reigning for quite a while.
They have,
yourself or someone like you.
I mean...
But sooner or later it was going to happen, wasn't it? Oasis. Definitely, maybe.
Oh, no, Phil, stop. Oh.
That viewer is the face of Ben when asked to choose between Matchbox 20 and Oasis.
See, people will say this is really easy. It should just be Oasis is definitely maybe. But you know what? I've probably actually listened to the Matchbox 20 album more.
There are people that will agree with you, Ben, on that.
But
we know who those people are, don't you?
Yep.
Oasis haters, basically.
Yeah. And middle of the road Americans.
Yep.
It is definitely maybe because the energy, the excitement, it was the start of pulling the United Kingdom out of this doldrum that we'd been in for years and years. I love the energy of it. Slide Away, Live Forever, Supersonic, Rock and Roll Star. The list.
It's winning, isn't it? Yeah.
It's winning. Yeah. I love it. I'm not going to lie, Philster. I love the Matchbox 20 album. I just love this a little bit more.
Okay, so definitely maybe is winning out.
Yeah.
So now, oddly enough, folks, there's an Oasis album back at the top of Ben's favourite albums of the 90s. It's definitely maybe, though. So will it definitely stay at the top? How about this then, Ben? How's it going to go against Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness?
Definitely maybe.
Supergrass, I Should Coco.
Oh, another great debut album. Do love that one. I probably loved it more later because I think you chose that album, didn't you?
I did put it in there. Yeah, it's one of my 95 albums.
I obviously All Right became massive, but I probably more discovered that album later, probably only in the last sort of 5-6 years. I'm pretty sure I've got it on vinyl somewhere.
I think I put it through because I think I wanted some fun amongst all the grunginess.
Yeah,
I
and
put
it is
through.
Good fun. And Gaz Coombs, I think, is quite an underappreciated frontman. I think he's got a great vocal on him.
But
he's a handsome guy.
But you're making all the excuses. But he's
they're
not
going
to win.
Maybe. Yeah. No.
Now, funnily enough, man, there's also a Neil Young album. Did you know that I liked Neil Young?
No. I mean, he's not turned up yet in this.
So this is Mirrorball
listing.
Mirrorball, which is the album by Neil Young with Pearl Jam, who were
it was.
had to be, for contractual reasons, were uncredited, but they were on the album.
It is. It's still definitely maybe.
Okay, so definitely maybe against Radiohead, The Bends.
It's definitely maybe.
So,
God, that was harder than I thought it was going to be, actually, because
of Fake Plastic Trees and High and Dry and all those songs. Street Spirit, but you're still with definitely
Street
maybe.
Spirit on that album.
I think it's near the end of the album, isn't it?
Is it? Which is the one that isn't on that album? Is it? No, isn't Street Spirit on Pablo Honey?
No, I'm pretty sure Street Spirit's on the Bends.
Which is the one I'm thinking of from
Pablo Honey?
Yeah.
Well, the obvious one is Creep, but I mean,
that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah, but it's definitely maybe.
So, how is definitely maybe going to do against from 1995?
Yeah.
What's the Story? Morning Glory.
Oh, God. Oh, do you know what I'm looking at in front of me up there? Is, well, I don't know. I mean, this is how bad it is. Look, people. What are they up there? That is 2 paintings of Definitely Maybe and the Morning Glory front covers. Up there on my wall, I have an original 94 poster.
Maybe this should have been the final. Because I've still got another year of stuff to chuck at you.
Yeah, but this trouble is, I know what have we only got 1 year left after this?
There's 1 year left.
And I know what's in that year, and it's going to be really hard. It's Morning Glory. Because, do you want me to tell you why?
Go on.
Because I bought Morning Glory before I bought In fact, yeah, I bought Morning Glory before I bought Definitely Maybe. I remember when we were working at the engineering place together, I would literally have Morning Glory on in my Walkman on loop one night. Oh, so it's got to be Morning Glory for me. I know it's a bit play, but yeah, it's the defining one for me. Yeah.
It's also got a range of styles on it, hasn't it?
Yes, yeah,
It's a little bit more diverse, maybe you could argue, in the style.
Yeah,
but
it's not full on punky rock, is it? It's
there's some ballads on there and stuff. So okay, so what's the story? Morning Glory is currently Ben's favourite album of the 90s.
Yeah.
So let's just put it up against the ones I don't think it's going to win against, or not going to beat it. So how about Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road?
Morning Glory. I won't even let you read it all out.
Mercury Rev, Deserted Sons.
Good album. I like Mercury Rev. But it's Morning Glory.
Robbie Williams, I've Been Expecting You.
A good follow-up. A bit more polished production and everything on that album. Obviously worked with Neil Tennant and Neil Hannon from Divine Comedy on there. I think they appear on No Regrets. I saw Robbie on that tour, but it's Morning Glory.
Morning Glory against Madonna's Ray of Light.
Oh, I forgot all about that album. A brilliant album.
Maybe possibly your favourite of the ones I chose.
It is, yeah. I think that is my favourite of the ones you chose. I think you chose that because I couldn't find, because I let you, because I wanted. Did I want it? I wanted it. I love that album.
No, I do. I would have been in my top 3 of 1998.
It's my favourite Madonna album. Obviously, yes, the album. Then I don't know which is my second favourite Madonna album. It's probably either Bedtime Stories or is it Music from 2000? Anyway.
Could be. Who knows?
Who knows? Who cares if it's 2000? It doesn't exist at the moment. But it's Morning Glory. Oh, God, I didn't want to be predictable. And I'm being predictable. I don't like it.
Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory, is going to go up against one of 2 albums left.
Oh.
Can you think what the 2 albums are left? Well, I wonder which one I'm going to put it up against.
I know which one of them is.
It's going to go up against Pulp. This Is Hardcore. So, which do you prefer? Help the Aged?
Help the Aged.
Today is going to be the day that they throw it all back to you.
That Pulp album, I don't think was as well received by the public as obviously common people.
It didn't sell as many albums.
No, but it is a really good, reflective. I often say that album. I mean, people say that Be Here Now was the album that caused the demise of Britpop, but I think This Is Hardcore was definitely somebody closing the door. It's a great album, really reflective, but it's Morning Glory.
What's the Story, Morning Glory, is in the final for Ben's favourite album of the 90s. It's left behind Matchbox 20. It's left behind the other Oasis albums. It's even left behind the Rolling Stones' Bridges to Babylon and MC Hammer and Betty Boo and Criss Cross. It's left them all in its wake. But how would it go against New Radicals? Maybe You've Been Brainwashed too.
I surrender. I'm waving the white flag.
You invented this game, Ben.
I did invent this game, didn't I?
Well, you appropriated it from somewhere else, but you introduced it to this channel. You made me do it on all my albums.
I know.
I ended up with a winner that I wouldn't have predicted, but then maybe it is my favourite album of the 90s.
Do you know what? I'm thinking that maybe You've Been Brainwashed too could be the surprise winner. Because I've probably listened to both of them equally as much. The two albums I could not get bored of.
And as a whole album, have any of them got a weak spot on them? They're both about the same length. Or was the Oasis one a bit longer?
No, I think the New Radicals album's probably a little bit longer. I mean, any album that starts off with "Make my nipples hard, let's go," has every divine right to be in the last two of the 1990s. I know the New Radicals album, I know people say there's a little bit World Party in the second half of it.
Oh, it is a bit. I think it is a bit longer.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing. I just love that New Radicals album. Then I love the Morning Glory album. Morning Glory is...
So let's just remind ourselves,
Go on,
viewers, that What's the Story of Morning Glory, according to Wikipedia, is the second studio album by the English band Oasis.
Yeah,
came out 2nd of October 1995.
Yes, it did.
Produced by Owen Morris and Noel Gallagher.
Yes.
And it is 50 minutes and 6 seconds long.
Yeah.
And it contains, I think it's fair to say it contains 10 songs, doesn't it? Because there's 12 tracks, but 2 of those are little
swan song.
Yeah. Connecting pieces. So there's 10 songs on there. So maybe You've Been Brainwashed too, which is the only album, the debut and final album by New Radicals.
Yeah.
Came out on the 20th of October 98.
Yeah.
And although Greg Alexander had made 2 previous albums.
Intoxication and Michigan Rain.
This album is 54 minutes and 21 seconds long.
Yeah.
And it has on it 12 songs.
It does. Jehovah Made This Whole Joint for You, Carolina. Mother, We Just Can't Get Enough. You Only Get What You Give. Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too. Technicolor Lover. Crying Like a Church. Do I have to choose?
The best known, both albums have got a song on them. Well, you could argue the Oasis one has got more. But, the song that has been played a lot on the radio is "You Get What You Give" by the New Radicals. The Oasis album, well, probably the most played song is either "Wonderwall" or "Don't Look Back in Anger."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking it might be "Wonderwall," but I may be wrong about that. But I'm thinking that might be the most played song.
I think "Wonderwall" was the first song from the 90s to hit 1 billion streams on YouTube. YouTube, on Spotify.
I think that is the most played song from that record.
Yeah. It is hard. Do you know what? Part of me. Do you know when you're standing on the edge of a precipice, or like a wall when you're a kid and you want to jump, but you just can't get your feet to leave the platform? That's how I feel right now. Yeah, because New Radicals split up. They did release a second single. Someday We'll Know. But Greg Alexander had become tired of the rigmaroles of touring, which is why he wore his hat low down so people wouldn't see how disinterested he was. My mate Bossman actually saw them live in South Africa, which actually...
He was a bit disinterested, wasn't it, at that point?
Yeah, Bossman saw him in South Africa around, would have been 98, 99 time.
Is it more special because it was the only album that act made? Does that make it more special for you?
Yeah, it does, and I've got a playlist on Spotify called Greg's Wonder Basket, which is all the songs he's then gone on to write like Lost Stars, Life is a Roller Coaster, Inner Smile, I think it is, for Texas. And
do you know what critics said about You Get What You Give when it came out?
I know Ice-T said it's one of his favourite songs.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's interesting because I've come across some people who don't like it because they think it's a cheesy pop song.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it probably didn't help that he also went on to do a song for Ronan Keating, didn't
Life
he?
is a Roller Coaster. He did quite a few songs for Ronan Keating,
which get he then get sort of put in the pop category.
Yeah. Well, he did Murder on the Dance Floor that was massive last year. That's a Greg Alexander
Is
song.
that him? Okay.
Yeah, Greg Alexander and Rick Knowles. I
Not
think
the one
is
that was Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that was by him.
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly written some hits. When Billboard magazine reviewed it at the time it came out, they described it as a Wham-style pop song with slightly cheesy lyrics, but the ending lyrics were interesting.
Yeah, because he goes on about cloning and big bankers taking over the world
and kicking the asses of some of the.
Yeah, but he only put that in because he wanted to see, it was like a social experiment. What would society focus on more? The fact that we're cloning animals and big banks are taking over the world and all this sort of stuff, or the fact he wanted to kick Marilyn Manson's ass. And of course, society focused more on
that.
Yeah.
The Daily Record said it sounded like the Waterboys at their best.
Yeah.
And they said it also sounded a bit, there was a Springsteen element, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
And they said it will be played in all the good bars of the land.
It has been.
Daily Mirror called it a gold nugget of a single.
Yes.
Joni Mitchell praised this song.
Yeah.
Because she said that it rose from the swamp of muck music like a flower of hope. So she was basically saying it was a, hope.
Well, it did get to the final of one-hit wonders of the 90s, didn't it?
Yeah, she was saying that obviously everything else at that time was corporate music and that this was great.
Yeah.
Ice-T, rap legend, said on a talk show that it was one of the songs. Yeah, one of the songs that grabbed him. And The Edge from U2 said that it was the song that he is the most envious of. He would love to have written it.
Yeah.
So, for all the people that sneer at it, I mean, there's some people there,
It's a great. I think it's
who know about making successful. I mean, Ice-T, Joni Mitchell, The Edge. I mean, these people
know what they're talking about.
Know something about making successful records, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
and it did get to our final of the greatest one-hit wonders of the 1990s.
But that's just one song from the album. But the question is, which is your favourite whole album?
Whole album. Do you know what? I really can't decide. I really can't, Phil. So I'm going to... Do you know what? Because the New Radical, I feel that sort of like, that's my thing. It's like, because nobody else really has that album. A lot of people, my auntie Dem has that album. But I don't know too many other people who own
the
that
general
album.
public don't own it in the whereas Oasis album feels like it belongs to the general public in a way.
Yeah, and there is a lot.
You're having to share it with all those people. It's like going on a bus as opposed to being in your own car, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's quite funny I say that because there is a line in one of the songs. I think it might be Jehovah, where he sings. And isn't she pissed that all the other nonconformists listen to the same obscure band? And do you know what?
I remember that line.
Yeah. And
there are some good lines on it. I've only listened to the album properly once, but there were some good lyrical lines in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you break down the lyrics of the title track of the album, Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too, it's quite incoherent. But when you actually read what the lyrics are saying, there's some good. And do you know what?
Could I dare say that the lyrics are better than the lyrics on the Oasis album?
Yeah, because Noel says about that Oasis album that he just wrote first verses. He never got round to writing the second verses, so just repeated them. So, do you know what, Philster? I'm going to go for the New Radicals. Because it's my little thing. It's my...
I I think there's maybe part of the reason why I chose the Wilco album.
Yeah.
Because it's my one that was mine, and no one else was really into that album at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone else who had that album.
And I like the fact that when people hear that you only get what you give, I can go, oh yeah, do you know what he also wrote? Life is a roller coaster for Ronan Keating.
And Murder on the Dance Floor for Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Yeah, and In a Smile Protects Us, Lost Stars by Keira Knightley or Adam Levine or whatever his name is from Maroon 5.
I don't know if I know that, but maybe I'd know it if I heard it. Was that one that's been played on the radio all the time?
It was, yeah. It was up for an Oscar in 2014.
I must have heard it somewhere then, mustn't I?
Because the soundtrack, there's a film called Begin Again with Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo. And if anyone out there likes music like Phil does, there's 2 films you should watch by the same Irish director. One's called Once. Got a great soundtrack. I mean, one of the soundtracks is, I think one of the tracks on it is something like Toaster Repairman or something. It's a really good film, all about music, all about recording an album and stuff. And the follow-up film was Begin Again with Mark Ruffalo, and it's all about Keira Knightley. She wrote this big hit with this pop star. He ends up cheating on her. She goes and records an album in the streets of New York or wherever it is. And that sound. What I'm trying to say is that soundtrack for the Begin Again was written by Greg Alexander, so it's got CeeLo Green on it, and Keira Knightley's actually got a really good vocal. Actually, James Corden is in the film, but he's not that irritating in it. But yeah, I think because it is my little thing, it is my little album. I think it's my favourite album, and a bit like you, Phil, that could change tomorrow between that and Morning Glory, or that and Bridges to Babylon. But I just think right now, that emotional attachment to that album, it's a little bit how I feel with the Matchbox 20 album, because obviously they're not that big in this country, so I often feel that sort of that's my thing. So
yeah.
I'm going with, and it might not necessarily be true, but I'm going with the New Radicals and Maybe You've Been Brainwashed Too.
That is Ben's favourite album of the 90s. After that shock result, viewer, we have to bring this episode to a close. But there will be another full record jacket coming very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.